Howdy everyone, it's Sam. I hope you're all doing really well. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Last week was a really weird week for Magic Round. I didn't get my tips into the competition, tipping competition in time. It said that I went for the Bulldogs when I actually tipped Newcastle on this episode last week here on YouTube, so I missed out on one. And then the Eels let me down. The Raiders got the upset win. I did tip the Warriors in last week's show, but at the 11th hour, I changed it to South Sydney. So I think I walked away from the round maybe 4-8, 5-8 last week. So Magic Round, she was a bit of an old, strange one to try and get a hold of. But yeah, all in all, just on Magic Round 2, I thought it was a tremendous success and I thought it was the best edition of it to date. Can't wait to see what happens in 2023 when I make my way up there. Round 11 of the 2022 NRL season kicks off on Thursday night from Newcastle in McDonald Jones Stadium. The Newcastle Knights host the Brisbane Broncos. The Brisbane Broncos come into the game as the favourites, $1.51 to the Newcastle Knights, $2.56. Last season, both these sides met each other twice and the wins were split. The last time the Brisbane Broncos played Newcastle in Newcastle was round 15 of 2019, but the last time Brisbane actually won in the Hunter was 2017 in the month of July. Anthony Milford is the massive talking point for the Newcastle Knights this week in the team list news. He makes his first appearance for the Knights. He makes his first appearance for the entire season. Funny how things happen in the NRL. His last ever match for the Brisbane Broncos was against the Newcastle Knights. His first ever game for the Newcastle Knights is going to be up against the Brisbane Broncos. What a serious narrative that is. For the rest of the team list news now, Anthony Milford is wearing jersey number 6. Adam Clune is the halfback. For the forward pack now, Tyson Frizzell comes back in. Fitzgibbon is the second rower and Mitch Barnett starts in the lock position. And then the interchange bench reads Crossland, Jacob Saifidi, Leo Thompson and Matt Croker. For the Brisbane Broncos now, Tamaro Martin has been named at fullback, but there is an injury cloud on him. I think it's a hip problem that he's suffering. So if he does drop out, expect Selwyn Cobbo to revert back to fullback and maybe Jordan Pereira makes his Brisbane Broncos debut this weekend in Newcastle. But as it stands now, Tamaro Martin is the fullback and the rest of the back line is unchanged after last week's very impressive win over the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. The forward pack for the Brisbane Broncos, Corey Jensen. What couldn't you have done and pushed out these numbers up there at North Queensland? You're having a great season, Corey Jensen. Billy Walters, Payne Haas, Jordan Ricky, Kurt Capel and Pat Carrigan. Pat Carrigan also, Struth. He'll be there in Queensland, maroon colours, but for sure. The interchange bench reads Pakes, Hetherington, Flegler and Palacia. So I want to touch more on Anthony Milford, if I may. Anthony Milford last season played 13 games for the Brisbane Broncos. He had 9 try assists and ended the year in 17th position for most kick meters, 3,871. And he also did not end up in the bottom 50 missed tackle list. So he's actually an all right defender. Also, Tamaro Martin and or Selwyn Cobbo, get ready, because if you recall how Anthony Milford plays, he can put up some of the nastiest spiraling torpedo bombs on the planet. Anthony Milford could have a banger of a game, but The Newcastle Knights, I can't trust them. They've lost so many games at home already this year. I do think they're a chance. Like, they do have Frizzell back in. They got the momentum and energy of Anthony Milford making his debut. And Dane Gagai was that close to being named as well. Is Dane Gagai been named as 20th man? So Dane Gagai could still be a chance to break into the Knights team. I don't think he will though, but he has been named on the reserve list, which is a positive for the Knights because we know how badly they have been affected by the injuries. I am going to tip the Brisbane Broncos. I want to say 13 plus, but that's a bit too much disrespect on the Newcastle Knights. I think they're going to give the Broncos a really tough game. And so I can see maybe the Brisbane Broncos winning this by about 10 points on Thursday night. On Friday night, there are two games, and game number one for the first time in 2022 is coming to us from Leichhardt Oval. It's the West Tigers hosting the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Looking at Sportsbet, Bulldogs are $1.89 to the West Tigers $1.91. So the Bulldogs technically are going into this game at the moment as the favourites. Are you joking? Now, you all know that I really like my stadium history and I really like going into that sort of stuff. And this is a doozy for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. This is the first trip to Leichhardt Oval since Anzac Day in 1998. That's 24 years since they last touched the turf out there at the 9th wonder of the world, or the 11th, or whatever you want to call it. So technically I went even further back because they actually won their last game at Leichhardt Oval in 1998 against the Balmain Tigers. The last time they actually lost at Leichhardt Oval, Canterbury Bankstown, was in June of 1990. But in more recent history between the two sides, it has been a lot closer though. Last year they split the wins. The Tigers will be smarting. The last time they took on the Bulldogs, they lost 38 points to 0 in the final round of the season. So I think some of them will have that in the back of their minds. I think Maguire will too. But there was another encounter earlier on in 2021 where the Tigers did get the chockies, and the Tigers have won 3 of the past 4 meetings over the Bulldogs as well. So the Tigers do have a bit of wood on top of the Bulldogs. Alex Tawal will play his 100th match in front of the Leichhardt Oval faithful out there. I think that the sacking of Trent Barrett is a bad decision. I really do. I don't think he's been given long enough. However, I can't deny though that with Addo Carr and Matt Burton, Tavita Pangai Jr., just to name a few, they haven't improved. If anything, they might have gone backwards just because of the caliber of players they've got in there that are doing friggin' nothing sort of thing. The West Tigers, however, let's have a look at the team list news now before I go on any further. For the West Tigers, they do suffer a handful of injuries. So let's go for the backline Tigers, Stafford Toa, Junior Tupou, who scored on debut last week. Good on ya. Tyrone Peachey finds himself on the opposite side in jersey number 4. He was named in jersey 3, I think he was, or he's going to play in jersey 3 against the Cowboys. In any event, Jock Madden replaces Luke Brooks in the 5'8" position because Luke Brooks picked up a hamstring injury just before halftime in that game against the Cowboys on Sunday evening. The forward pack now for the West Tigers, there is one small change. Luke Garner moves back into the second row, and I think he'd be loving that. I think he could not have waited anymore to get back into the second row position, even though he's made a great fist of playing in centre. So Luke Garner is starting in jersey number 11, and that means Kelma Tuolangi drops back down to the interchange bench, and the rest of the bench is Alex Tawal, Fire Manu Brown, and he's a name that I haven't seen in quite a long time. He's not making his debut, or debut for the club maybe, but I think he's been floating in the ether for a few years now. So that's a great return for him. And Stefano Otukamanu, he's in jersey number 17. So Alex Tawal, man, get your first try this Friday night, eh? Go on, go and get it. Bulldogs, get the bloody red carpet out and let him score that first try. For the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, Aaron Shoop centre, backline looks pretty much the same. The forward pack, Jackson Topini, he starts in jersey number 11, and Joe Stimson starts from the bench. Bailey Biondi-Otto, look, I think you can tell by the lack of excitement when I talk about the Bulldogs. I think you can tell that I'm going to tip the West Tigers in this one. I really want to tip them by 13 plus, but I think just with some of the injuries that they've got, the poor old Tigers, I don't think they'll be able to really get away from them. Here's another thing as well I want to mention too. The South Sydney Rabbitohs coach said, look, that second half against the New Zealand Warriors, I'm not surprised that we were very lethargic and let them back into the game as badly as we did, because the whole club was suffering from a flu. So he knew that they were going to be a little bit lethargic in that second half. Well, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs have taken a couple of days off training, including tomorrow, because there's a flu going around and because of the dramas that are happening at the club out there at Belmore. And they're only going to have one training session before they go to Leichhardt Oval for the first time in 24 years this Friday night. West Tigers are going to win this one 1-12. And the big game on Friday night football is from Combank Stadium, where we see Parramatta Eels host the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. I think this battle is the top 10 best rivalries in the National Rugby League. It's always a bit of an occasion when these two sides come head to head, no matter where they are on the ladder, to be honest with you. The Parramatta Eels are coming into the game $1.50 favourites to the Manly Sea Eagles, $2.62. Last year, Manly beat them twice. One of those occasions by 50 odd points. The past 6 is 4-2 to the Manly Sea Eagles. And Parramatta have not beaten Manly since 2019. Clint Gutherson plays his 150th match for the Parramatta Eels, so kudos to you, bro. And David Kidwell, the defensive coach for the Parramatta Eels, left to go take a Rugby Argentina opportunity. So does that muck around with them a little bit? Well, we'll see what happens on Friday night. For the team list news now for the Parramatta Eels, 1 down through to 7 is unchanged. The forward pack is unchanged. And in really good news for him on the interchange bench, Marata Niukore comes back in on jersey number 15. I should say. I read about 24 hours ago that Niukore is indefinite. Is out indefinitely with a lower leg injury, but no, he's been named in jersey 15, and there is a change as well there too, I guess. Ryan Madison will start this week in the lock position, and Nathan Brown is going to be starting from the bench in jersey number 17. So I do take that as a demotion for Nathan Brown and a promotion for Ryan Madison. For the Manly Sea Eagles, I think Tom Turbo is still playing injured. He's not 100%. There were times where, I mean, think of the Adam Reynolds chip and chase try. Tom Trbojevic did not throw his absolute everything into trying to get to the ball first or to trying to tackle him. He did not want the contact last week, and I don't think he was all that there against the West Tigers the week before. So I am disappointed to see him play. I think he needs to rest up for another fortnight, especially with State of Origin just around the corner. You don't think he's not going to want to play in that game too? Well, you might not be able to if you're only working with one leg, Turbo. The rest of the backline for the Manly Sea Eagles, Tupaluto, Morgan Harper, Kohler, Garrick, Foran, DCE. The forward pack, Aloye starts in jersey 8, Sean Kepi jersey 10, Andrew Davey returns, which is a nice boost for them, I think. Did he return last week? But in any event, Davey's there in jersey 12, and the interchange bench reads Walker. Josh Schuster is back for them, I know that. He's in jersey number 15. Martin Tapau and Tofafoa Sipley. Manly Sea Eagles, man, they're one of the teams to get a hard read on. Same token, though, it's a disappointing loss for the Parramatta Eels to go down to the Sydney Roosters and start the game as flat as they did. They had a long break from Friday to the next week to play on Sunday. That was a disappointing loss, man, and it definitely sort of makes me go, woof, I don't think so. But Parramatta Eels, they've been playing better footy than Manly Seagulls. Tom Turbo, look, if he comes out and has a blinder on Friday night, come back and call me an idiot. But I think he's playing injured, and it just doesn't help out the team when you've got players in there that are playing injured unnecessarily. So I'm going to tip the Parramatta Eels, though, to win a close one, because I don't trust them enough to get a 13+ points victory over Manly, who will be stinging after being held to nil for the first time since the 2013 final series. So I'm going to tip the Parramatta Eels to win this game 1-12. We move into Super Saturday now, and there are 3 games, and game number 1 is from Netstrata Jubilee Stadium out there in Kogarah. It is the St. George Illawarra Dragons hosting the New Zealand Warriors. Now, I might need to be corrected on this, but I am certain that this game is one of the 2 memorial games that was scheduled to occur for 2022. They memorialised Norm Provan in round number 2 against the Penrith Panthers, the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and this is the first game at Kogarah since then, and they will be having a moment's silence, or they will be remembering Johnny Raper, the Immortal, this weekend against the New Zealand Warriors. So they're going to be getting a bit of an emotional lift this weekend, the St. George Illawarra Dragons, is my point. And I think it's just a beautiful touch in general anyway. And again, rest in peace, Johnny Raper and Norm Provan for sure. Now for the team list news now, friggin' blindside. Cody Ramsey is in at fullback, so not Mbai and not Tyrell Sloan. It's Cody Ramsey who he's played this year. I don't think we've seen him since round 2 or 3, and he just slots into fullback where he really doesn't look like a fullback sort of player. But in any event, I hope he goes well. For the rest of the backline, Matthew Finge, Moses Suli, Lomax, Ravalawa, Amone, and Hunt. The forward pack in jersey number 10, Blake Laurie, Moses Mbai is in at the dummy half position. Francis Molo has jersey number 18 on his back, and I think that's a touch to Johnny Raper. I don't think they're going to be using jersey number 8 this weekend, the Dragons, so that's a nice touch. Jack Bird in jersey number 11, Gazeski and DeBellin round out the back row, and then for the interchange bench, Sullivan, Sims starts from the bench, Woods, and Michael Molo. Michael Molo, I think he's making his first grade debut this weekend. I might need to be corrected on that as well. Apologies. And then for the New Zealand Warriors, they're unchanged. They're unchanged after last week's effort against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Then the forward pack, looks like that Wade Egan is out. Jazz Tavanga starts as hooker, and I don't like that. He's not a hooker, but I don't like that. He is not a hooker, and you've got young Otakolo in there that, look, he may not be ready for first grade, but give the bloke a freaking chance. He's only been hanging around as 18th man for about a year now, so get Otakolo in there, unless if he's not injured, of course. And you've also got, you've got Freddie Lussick in there in jersey 17. Bunty Afoa, Masilla and Penne round out the rest of the interchange bench. And the back row is Aitken, Harris, and Jack Murchie is in at the lock position. I don't like that forward pack from Nathan Brown. I really don't like the way how he selected it. For the tips, the odds now, the Dragons are $1.73 to the New Zealand Warriors $2.12. So the Dragons are going in as favourites. We know the dominance the Dragons have held over the New Zealand Warriors for the better part of a decade now. However, the Warriors did travel to Kogarah last year. They did walk away with the win, I think either for the first time ever or for the first time in a very, very long time. I'm going to tip the Dragons to get this one 1-12. I don't see it being 13+. I think the Warriors will, get some sort of confidence from that second half, but against a more emotionally fueled Dragons side, if the Warriors start as flat as what they did against South Sydney Rabbitohs, It could be 13 plus, but I'm going to tip the Dragons 1-12. Before I move on to the next game, I do want to say, last year, when Melbourne came up and pipped North Queensland, no one gave us a chance and we nearly got them. They came up and absolutely disrespected us. The referees were wearing sunglasses, had their eyes painted on the entire game from both sides of the fence. This is the game I wanted when I looked at the draw. This is the 2 points I want so badly, and the boys are in a fantastic position to do so. Go you Cowboys. And the last game on Super Saturday is from the Sydney Cricket Ground, when we see the Sydney Roosters host the Penrith Panthers. The Penrith Panthers are coming into the game $1.42 favourites to the Sydney Roosters $2.89. For a bit of history, this is another doozy. The Penrith Panthers, they last played at the SCG in round 24 of 2019, which resulted in a loss. Before that game in 2019, they hadn't played on the SCG since 1987. So this is only the second game Penrith will have played at the Cricket Ground since 87. But they haven't actually won at the Old Girl since 1985, when they beat Manly in a playoff game. And you go back to the start of their history, Penrith have only played no more than 20 games at the SCG. And I'm telling you, the Panthers have only won one, maybe two games in their entire history out there at the SCG. That is nuts. In more recent history, though, the Penrith Panthers have won 5 of the past 7 versus the Sydney Roosters. And Roosters, last time they beat Penrith was at the SCG back in 2019. For the team list news now, from 1 down through to 7 for the home side, that's unchanged. The forward pack, Takeaho starts at number 10. Nat Butcher starts at the lock position for Victor Radley, who's going to be missing the next 6 to 8 weeks with a leg injury. And for the interchange bench, Drew Hutchison, Fletcher Baker, Saluka Fafita, and Lindsay Collins in jersey number 17 as well. For the Penrith Panthers now, 1 down through to 7 is unchanged. The forward pack is unchanged, and the interchange bench is unchanged as well. Penrith Panthers are going to win this one by 13 plus. Now we move into Sunday afternoon football, and game number 1 is coming to us from Apex Oval out there in Dubbo for the one and only time in 2022. It's the South Sydney Rabbitohs hosting the Canberra Raiders. These two clubs are meeting for the first time on the ground. It's not South Sydney's first trip out to Dubbo. They did play Penrith last year, where they got trounced by the eventual premiers of 2021. The bookies for this on Sportsbet have South Sydney as $1.63 to the Canberra Raiders $2.28. I think the Raiders are going to come in a little bit, and the South Sydney Rabbitohs are going to blow out a little bit before kickoff comes around for sure. I think so. For team list news now, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, there's only one change. Jacob Host, who did his shoulder last week, he is out for Trent Peoples, who had a great debut against the Brisbane Broncos a couple of weeks ago. And there's a handful of changes for the Canberra Raiders. Jack Whiten comes back after serving 2 matches. He's back in at jersey number 6, and it's Matt Frawley that retains his position, meaning that Brad Schneider is out of the side completely. I think the young man needs a break as well. I think he also goes out on a good, tough note as well, because I thought he played great against the Cronulla Sharks last weekend. Josh Papali'i plays game number 250, so kudos to you, bro. Zach Wolford retains his position in jersey number 9. Fantastic. He was solid, wasn't he? And he made that great break for someone to score a try. I can't remember. Since 2019, They've played each other 4 times and the record stands at 2-2. And 3 of the past 4 have been decided by 6 points or less. And I'm expecting another close game this weekend out there at Dubbo. South Sydney Rabbitohs, man. Oh man, I friggin' fear them. I really do, and not in a good way. I really fear that they're gonna drop out bad. For the Canberra Raiders though, like it was a tough win. It was a really good win against Cronulla Sharks. They played at times with only 11 men, 3 sin bins in total. Cronulla Sutherland Sharks didn't throw enough at them, or they didn't throw anything at them. They played terribly, Cronulla Sharks. I'll get more onto the Sharks soon, but yeah, I don't know how much you can take out of that, the Raiders. They did play tough. This is probably the hardest game of the round to tip. I am going to back... Look, there is a fair chance that I'm going to change my tip officially in the tipping competition that I'm in. But right now, I'm going to tip the Canberra Raiders. Cody Walker played sensationally for 50 minutes last week. Sensational stuff from Mr. Walker. Hopefully they've all recovered from their flu. I'm going to tip the Canberra Raiders to win this game 1-12 in a really, really close one. I might even change my tip. I don't friggin' know. Raiders at the moment. And the final game of week 11 is from Cbus Super Stadium on Sunday. We see the Gold Coast Titans hosting Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Titans are $2.55 and the Cronulla Sharks are $1.52 coming into the game. I think that's fair enough. Maybe the Titans might come in just slightly, just ever so slightly before kickoff. For the team listeners now, Jaden Campbell keeps his position unsurprisingly. He was great against the St. George Illawarra Dragons last week. Corey Thompson, Sami, Masters and Azako round out the back 5 with Brimson and Sexton rounding out the back line. And then the forward pack for the Gold Coast Titans is unchanged. And then the interchange bench is unchanged as well. I think McIntyre might be coming in. Sam McIntyre might be coming in for someone. For the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, Lockie Miller makes his NRL debut in a jersey number 1. I was sort of anticipating Luke Metcalf, but congratulations to Mr. Miller. He's going to be making his debut, and there's been a lot made about him. So I can't wait to see how he goes and what he could be all about this weekend. The rest of the back line is unchanged. And, well, except for Nico Hines, who does move from fullback back into the halfback position. I do think that was an innocent error from Craig Fitzgibbon taking Hines out of the halves and putting him in the fullback position. And with all due respect to Braden Trindle, I don't know, man. I was really anticipating to see how we'd go this season, but he just doesn't seem to be firing on all cylinders at the moment. It looks like he's struggling for confidence or something or other, or he just hasn't had enough, I don't know, just not enough opportunity or time to really gel with his halves partners. But there's just something a little bit off with Trindle this year, unfortunately. But nothing away from the talent that he's got, because when he clicks, and he will click, he's going to be very, very good for Sharks or somebody else one day. Got to give a rap to Blake Brayley, man. He is having such an underrated and underappreciated season in many, many sectors of the game. I think he's been so good for Sharkies. Some of the recent history, the Sharkies have won 7 in a row versus the Gold Coast Titans. The last win for the Titans over the Sharks came in round 19 of 2017. And in my opinion, man, if Titans had to look at someone, if they were asked the question, who do you hate the most in New South Wales? I'd probably say Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. There's been draws, Golden Point games, there's been biffs, there's been biting allegations. It's not a rivalry at all. But if somebody posed the question as Titans, if you had to choose a New South Wales side that you hate coming up against, sort of thing, that you really like giving it to, I'd say it's the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. There's been some bad blood in these games in the past, and I've said this in the past too, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So I think that they will get up for it, the Titans. I give them a sneaky chance, man. I kind of want to tip them because besides the Cronulla Sharks victory over the Dragons in Wollongong earlier this year, they haven't won away from home, and they've lost at Suncorp twice now this season. They've gone down to Melbourne and got pumped. Their away form needs fixing, Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, urgently, because on all of those occasions, while they were in it for maybe half an hour, they then disappear, and evidence is clear for everyone to see with what happened against the Canberra Raiders. They were never in that game anyway. And the Raiders, yeah, they played and completed very, very well. But they weren't playing magic sort of footy, excuse the pun, but they weren't playing outstanding footy, just completed very, very well. But yeah, I had Cronulla Sutherland Sharks finishing maybe between 5th and 8th in 2022, and for a hot second there, it looked like they were going to finish in 4th. And they've been really exciting to watch this year too, but I'm just starting to get a little bit of cold feet on the top 4 prospects for the Sharks, but we're not even halfway through the season yet anyway. I am going to just play it safe and back the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, but Titans are going to be in this one with a sniff. Sharkies to win this one 1-12. Ladies and gents, that's it for me this weekend. Thank you so much for the continuous support. We hit 500 subscribers over the weekend. That unlocks the community tab for this channel, and that means that maybe in the next week or so, you'll see my first community post, and that's just going to be dedicated all to you guys for sure. So thank you so much. Just wow, unreal stuff. I hope you all have a very nice weekend. I hope your team gets up, except for the Melbourne Storm, and I'll see you guys later on tonight for my game preview with my mate Matthew Boyd, and then also please get your clocks ready. And I'm going to be doing a live preview for the game Panthers versus Cowboys with the Big Cat Chat podcast, Mr. Jack Martin and Nat Sinclair as well, from next Tuesday, 7 p.m. So countdown to that is on. I'm really looking forward to it, and I really appreciate their crisp communication with me as well. And you should go check out their podcast as well. If you go to the link for the stream, the link to their podcast is in there. So there are a couple of Panther diehards, and I can't wait to talk about the game as a part of Indigenous Round next week. And Indigenous Round last year, man, it was great. Anyway, I'm starting to wobble me jaw a little bit, so I'll talk to you guys later. Have a very nice weekend. Adios.